Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us as we share our presentation, Methods Used to Establish Effective Communication. Welcome. My name is Linda Jenkins from the Special Education Services Family and Community Connections team. I will be one of your presenters tonight, but I'm also joined by my amazing team members. Dana White is hosting our event. Audrey Jones Langston is assisting us with tonight's technology, along with Genevieve Meyer and Annie Bush, who will be presenting as well. We would also like to give a special thank you to Jill McKenna, our Assistant Superintendent, for allowing us to present this information to you. We are excited to share information that will support your communication with your child's school. But before we get started, let's go over just a few housekeeping tips. As a reminder, please mute your mics and turn your cameras off. This will help eliminate background noise and limit distractions for all participants. The chat feature will be closed during the presentation. However, many of you submitted questions during registration, and these will be answered during this presentation or future presentations. If you submitted a specific question about your student, a member of the Family and Community Connections team will contact you directly to ensure confidentiality. Please remain in the session after the presentation ends because we will be asking for your feedback and providing you with additional resources. The Family and Community Connections team provides parent engagement opportunities to support families. As you review our mission statement, you will see that the goal of the Family and Community Connections team is to inform, empower, and facilitate. We support families by providing parent trainings, such as the one tonight, responding to questions and concerns, and facilitating engagement through collaborative conversation. We also support by connecting families with resources and community agencies. This allows for creating the best outcomes for students with disabilities. We are glad that you have an interest in this session because ongoing communication between home and school is vital. Today, we want to share what you can expect from our time together. This presentation will provide you with methods to help you effectively communicate with classroom teachers, with knowledge about different methods the district uses to communicate with families, and methods to effectively communicate with special education case managers. Genevieve will start us off with the best ways to communicate with classroom teachers. Genevieve?
Thank you, Linda. The district sends messages that contain information and updates that impact families across Wake County Public Schools. Messages may be in the form of text messages, automated calls, and emails. These are vital for receiving timely information, such as weather delays and closings, upcoming due dates, and transportation changes. Audrey, can you please open the link to the website? As you can see, if you go to Wake County's main website, you will find frequently asked questions about School Messenger, as well as directions for creating a parent account. As shared on the webpage, if you're not receiving the school messages, please check with your child's school to ensure up-to-date and correct information. This webpage also offers more steps to problem solve if you're still not receiving messages. Now, let's look at the methods schools use to communicate with parents. On the next slide, we are going to look at various ways that your child may share information with you. Every Wake County Public School has access to a website that families can access. It is important that you visit the school's website regularly. This is where the school communicates general information, grade level schedules, school calendars, and updates regarding school events. One such event is open house. We recommend that parents make it a priority to attend open house. This is a great time to begin connecting with the school team, teachers, and to familiarize yourself with the daily schedule. This gives you an opportunity to ask the classroom teacher questions, to learn about classroom expectations, the daily procedures, and other important information that's specific to your child's classroom. It is important to ask if your child's teacher has their own class webpage. If they do, during open house, teachers will often demonstrate how to use their webpage to locate information like homework assignments, upcoming projects and tests, and activities to enrich and reinforce learning. Teachers' web pages can often be accessed through the school's main website. Parents, please make sure to update any changes to your contact information. This ensures that you receive all school-wide updates and announcements or calls from your child's teacher. We'll share more about that in our next section. Now we'll move into methods used to communicate with classroom teachers and case managers. As you can see here, there are various methods of communicating with your child's teacher. Each teacher may communicate differently, so get to know your child's teacher to determine the best method of communication. It never hurts to ask. Please understand that this is not an exhaustive list, and there may be other methods of communication that your teacher might utilize. If your teacher uses talking points or Class Dojo, these are best used for brief, immediate communication. In a moment, we'll discuss those more in depth. Email is best used for general questions that do not need an immediate answer. Because most teachers are not able to check email throughout the day, teachers will often respond in 48 to 72 hours. If you do not have access to email, another method is to write a note in your child's agenda or send a handwritten note to your child's teacher. Again, please be patient as you wait for your teacher's response. Lastly, if there is an urgent matter, it may be best to communicate with the school by phone or to arrange a meeting with your child's teacher. As your child progresses through school, you may find that some communication methods remain the same while others shift. For example, talking points is utilized in the majority of Wake County public schools. Although Class Dojo is primarily used on the elementary level, it is used in some middle schools, but it is not used in high schools. These apps can be used to communicate directly with your child's teacher in a variety of languages. All families have access to PowerSchool for the current school assignment. However, when your child enters middle and high school, you should use PowerSchool to receive up-to-date information about your child's graded assignments and attendance. PowerSchool is not an app that parents can use to communicate with teachers. All of the programs we have discussed on this slide, Talking Points, Class Dojo, and PowerSchool, can be accessed both through a computer or an app on your phone. At the end of this presentation, you'll be provided with a QR code that takes you to a resource page. This resource page will provide you with a link to information about each program. Audrey, will you please open the link for PowerSchool? For example, the link for PowerSchool, which is sometimes referred to as home base, will look like this. This website will provide you the information about PowerSchool, such as how students and parents can get started. As you see, signing up is a 4-step process. At the bottom of the webpage are some frequently asked questions about how to access PowerSchool. Next, Annie will share about communicating with your special education case manager.
Thank you, Genevieve. Communication with your child's case manager is a two-way street. There are times that your child's case manager may reach out to you for a variety of reasons. For example, you may hear from them at the beginning of the school year to introduce themselves and make sure you have their contact information. If your child has an IEP, you will be contacted when it is time for the annual review at any other time in the year to discuss your child's progress, or if your child is transitioning to a new school or program. If you have questions about the IEP process, your child's case manager will be able to answer any of your questions. Again, please remember that communication is a two-way street. At any point, In the year, you should reach out to your child's case manager if you have questions or concerns regarding services or supports. Let's end tonight's presentation with a parent moment. Now that we've shared various methods of communication with you, let's take a moment to hear from Carrie McCarthy Adams. Carrie currently has a son transitioning to high school. As you listen to the interview, please take note of the methods she used effectively to communicate. Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us. Today we have Carrie McCarthy Adams, a parent who currently participates in our local SEAC group, which is the Special Education Advisory Council. Thank you for joining us today, Carrie.
Thank you.
So, if you could just tell us a little bit about what advice or tips do you have for parents who want to establish effective communication with their teachers?
Well, my son, who is now going to be transitioning to high school, he has been in Wake County since he was in early intervention. So we have transitioned through multiple teams, and each team's been different. So I think the experience I can share is that of someone who's worked with a CCK, an ID mild classroom, then a middle school, and now a high school. So my general tips are to have realistic expectations for yourself as well as the teachers. I've noticed that if I try to do too much, I'm going to have this big email and I'm going to send it to everyone, and then it doesn't happen. Then I realize not only am I frustrated with myself, but then I feel like I'm not providing information that the teachers need. That wasn't a realistic expectation for myself. Equally, once I dug deeper, I found out that had I sent a big long email, that would have been probably unrealistic for the teacher to be able to absorb and do anything with. Instead, what I found much more useful was coming up, as my husband and I did, we came up with a mission statement for our son. What is our vision for him in the future? And that has been our guiding force. It is something that we can refer to. And anytime we are making a decision or going to reconnect on a topic with the teachers, we always kind of keep that in our top of our vision. And that allows them to know what's most important to us, because we can't do everything. The other thing, as far as establishing and those tips, is that I often start with like seeking first to understand rather than being understood, because that tends to build trust. So when I'm reaching out because I have a question or my son's frustrated with homework or something, I will start with, we're doing this work. Here's what it looks like at home, but can you help me understand more what it is you'd like out of this? Because he might do something differently in the classroom than at home. So I always try to build that connection. Like, okay, would you rather him work for 20 minutes really hard, or would you rather him finish it? In which case we're going to need to do it on the weekend because he's too tired. Those kind of things, they can see it from home and they can know that there's something that we're trying to accomplish, but we need their input. Those were the big ones I was thinking of, really.
Okay. Thank you. And those are some great tips that can hopefully help other parents. So as a parent, how do you maintain that good communication with your son's teachers?
So it's very different as they get older, because of course there's a lot of people on their team, but it's finding out in the beginning who is that main advocate and who is the person who's it's often the person who's their IEP lead. But it may also be somebody else. Like, for instance, the teacher who's got all of these things on their plate. Sometimes it's a TA who's in the classroom who can say how their general mood was, or they're the ones walking them in elementary school to specials, and she might notice something. So it's in the beginning, it's trying to figure out who are going to be the people who want to be a part of that team, and also figuring out what works best for that team as well. So my son's current teacher, she's amazing. And she started in the middle of the pandemic, just after we went to remote learning. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't even have her email address set up yet. So I was able to connect with another teacher who knew my son and said, what's the best way? I'm happy to wait until she's settled. It's that understanding that they're trying. They're always trying. And as she said to me, please don't give up on us. We want to communicate. There's just maybe something that's in the way. So as long as they know you're going to be on their side to make that happen. She and I eventually found out, okay, if it's last minute and it's a quick thing related to like today's picture day and this is what we think might work, that we send via text because that's what she does. But not all teachers do that. Another one wants only emails. So finding out what works. On the flip side, I really found that teachers appreciate it if you let them know how to best reach you. So if it's, I know that I can't be reached during these hours on the phone, but if you need to call me and I see your phone number pop up after 3:00, I'll pick it up right away. Or, you know, I don't look at my emails until after a certain time. If they know what your schedule's like, it can save so much time and energy trying to figure out, because if you miss each other 3-4 times, the frustration starts to build. If you can set that up ahead of time, then that helps maintain it. And it makes it so much smoother the rest of the year.
Yes, I'm sure it does. So you alluded to communication being different at different levels. Can you expound on that a little bit, since you've moved from the pre-K setting to the elementary to middle, and now transitioning to high?
Yes.
Can you tell us how communication has differed from level to level?
Absolutely. So, like I said, there's always that main person, but that doesn't mean they're the only ones who would love to have those little insights. So one thing that I do, certainly at the elementary level, is I created a one-pager. It had that vision statement, but I just did some things that were relevant right now, like, this is us, you know, this is his brother. If he mentions Jacob, this is who he is. He adores his brother. He loves to play golf. And here's, like, at home, we're really trying to get him to do this. If there was just something fun, and of course, I always think to myself, do it so it's fun for you. Because if it's work, you won't do it. So I like creating, you know, a lot of people use Canva or whatever it is, but something that's fun for me and my favorite recent picture. And I make that, and then I send it to the entire team. And in elementary school, I really remember the art teacher who was just like, thank you so much for sending this. This is so awesome because I get this quick picture, because I know the IEP's floating out there, but do they really have time to read through it? No. An art teacher? A music teacher? No. But they needed to know that we're in music therapy right now. So just so you know, if you have any questions, this is me. So that to me was the best kind of bang for your buck. And later on, as my son got older, I had him help me. What picture do you want to send? Or what do you want them to see about this? And that way you're kind of encouraging that, you know, activity. And again, that's what my son is able to do. He would not be able to tell them anything. So I was trying to make this as a building rapport for them as well. Moving up to high school, what we've done is we've already reached out, because we know he will do better if he can do, like, go visit every now and then. So we can go to the library, or we can go to this. So connecting with the staff. Having said that, I found out early on that the head of the department has changed. So I know that this person's in a new role. And so if I just share that and say, hey, I see you're in a new role. I know you've already been there, but just know, I just want to make this connection. And, you know, when you're ready, tell me what works for you for a way to connect, versus let's have a conference. Let's sit down for hours. You know, maybe that's not what's on their agenda right now. And I'm happy to collaborate in that way.
Okay. Well, thank you. So you talk about all these great things that you've put in place. So has there been a time where communication may have been a bit difficult, and you and the teacher had to come up with a plan to move forward and communicate better?
Yeah, definitely. I think the times when those have happened, to be honest, I've tried to make myself active at least as much that I have the ability to in, like, the PTA, and in being a little more connected, maybe going to a meeting every now and then, or going to school. I realize how that the school is ebbing and flowing with busyness. If I wasn't at least reading all the communication, that I wouldn't know that, like, this is a testing week, or there's a big field day. And that can drain the amount of time teachers have to do all the other stuff. So I try first, again, to understand, is there anything else going on? Or I try and connect with somebody who I know can respond in those times. So it might be a teaching assistant. It might be someone in carpool. Or in a lot of cases, it's been for people who, like let's say it's a speech therapist, they have a huge caseload, but I still need to know something about that. So I will ask someone else, what's the best way for me to connect with the speech therapist? And they might say, oh, she's only here Tuesday, Thursdays. So definitely text her in the morning on one of those days because she's on 2 different schools. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what I'm going to do then. So again, it's sort of tapping into all the things that I did at the beginning of the year. And at the same time, trying to not be too hard on myself, because that's I think parents they're hard on themselves. And so I'd like to say it's not easy, but when in doubt, the other thing I'll do is I'll just write some notes down, because maybe I need to just take a step back, but not lose anything. So I might take some notes and keep them. There was one idea I remember too, is in one case when we were remote learning, I just asked the teacher, we're all in Google, what about a Google Doc? And that way you can write something about this, like, this is what we're working on. I noticed it's at home. You notice this. And that way, when they were back and forth between home and school, we could keep it. And it was brilliant because we were all contributing to it, but didn't take separate time to meet, to talk about it. So it is creative solutions sometimes that you've got to do. And those are the kind of things that you can't do when you're frustrated. So you need to take a step back and come back to what you know and what you've already established in the beginning.
Wow, that was a lot of great information, and you just sharing your experience, I'm sure will be helpful to other parents. So thank you, Carrie, so much for joining us today and giving us your input on the best methods of communicating with parents.
Thank you.
We hope that you were able to get some great ideas with how to effectively communicate with your child's teacher. As Carrie shared, it's always good to establish the method that works best for you and the teacher. Again, we would like to thank Carrie for taking the time to share her insight on communication. During our time today, we've shared tips and methods that we hope will guide you into establishing effective communication with your child's school. We are the Family and Community Connections team. We hope that you have found this session informative and that it will help you as you communicate with your child's school. If you have questions about special education services, or if we did not answer a question you asked during registration, please feel free to contact Family and Community Connections using the information on the slide. Coming soon, Special Education Services will be providing additional parent sessions as we continue to spring into action over the coming weeks. On March 31st, we will be hosting representatives from our policy team as we spring into action as we guide parents through the IEP process. This presentation provides parents with a general overview of the IEP process. And on April 7th, the instructional programming team will spring into action as they discuss transition. This presentation provides parents with a general overview of the transition process for students in pre-K through 12th grade. On April 21st, please join us as our occupational therapy team springs into action with occupational therapy and handwriting building blocks. This presentation provides information about school-based occupational therapy and how each therapist supports the process of writing. If you're not able to join our sessions, all sessions will be recorded and placed on our website. Please check back frequently for updates. We would like to hear from you. In the chat, we have provided a link to our feedback form. Please click on the link and take about 3 minutes to give us some feedback on our presentation. This will help us design future sessions that will best meet your needs. The link will be accessible in the chat at the end of the presentation as well. However, please don't leave just yet. We will be sharing the QR code for additional resources after the 3 minutes have ended. We appreciate your feedback. And one more thing before you go. Thank you so much for your participation today. The QR code located on the screen will link you to resources we discussed during the presentation. As you can see, the picture located on the screen, it gives you an example of resources discussed during our time today. To access, you may use your cell phone. Resource links will also be uploaded to the special education website at a later date. Thank you and enjoy your night.